The most dangerous people in your life will not come with fangs or threats. They come as lovers, friends, siblings, mentors. Those who carry the scent of trust, but conceal rot beneath. They smile when you win, they comfort when you break, and they say all the right things. Yet behind their kindness lies calculation. The demon in a familiar form does not scream, it whispers, and its whisper sounds like love, concern, or loyalty. The face it wears is not terrifying, it is alluring. Evil, when smart, does not announce itself. It wears your language, your culture, your values like a stolen robe, parading itself in plain sight. And because you believe you know them, you forget to watch them. Men rarely see the fall of an empire while they sit inside its walls, drunk on peace. The same is true with betrayal. Its architecture is laid brick by brick, while you are distracted by shared laughter. Those who wish you harm will not always strike with violence. Some chip away at your mind with doubt. Some call it concern, when they question your choices, your ambitions. Some cover your fire with their wet hands, saying they're trying to protect you. Watch closely, their mask is kindness, but their intent is to disarm. You must become a master of pattern, not personality. The mask may be beautiful, but it always slips when you learn to study motion over mood. People cannot fake consistency. They can fake emotion, fake compliments, fake apologies. But they cannot fake patterns. If every time you rise, they go silent. If every time you struggle, they shine. If they need you more when you're broken and vanish when you're focused, then understand this is not loyalty. It is parasitic comfort. They do not want you whole. They want you manageable. What blinds most men is the illusion of history. But we've been friends since childhood. But he's my brother. But she raised me. These phrases become chains forged in emotional memory. You forget to audit the present because you're imprisoned by the past. And so, the demon feeds while you guard it, excuse it, defend it. Because you think someone who loved you once cannot harm you now. But understand this, love is not eternal. Not in all hearts. Some people love you only as long as you are beneath them. Once you begin to rise, the love rots and resentment takes its place. Their smile remains, but it becomes hollow. Their words remain warm, but their energy turns cold. Study their reaction to your silence. See how they behave when they cannot access your wounds. Demons in disguise become restless when they can no longer feed. They begin to guilt, trip, to sulk, to accuse. They will say you've changed, that you're distant. But what they really mean is, you've become harder to control. And control is all they ever wanted. Not connection, not respect, not truth. Just quiet domination beneath layers of emotional manipulation. Do not expect confrontation, expect subversion. The demon in your circle prefers the long game. It does not destroy your life in a day. It infects it slowly. It erodes your confidence, isolates your vision, drains your will to act, and then it offers itself as the cure. This is the oldest trick in power. Poison the mind, then offer the antidote. For a price. That price is your independence, your fire, your edge. All traded slowly, in the name of loyalty. The mask will slip only if you stop listening to words and start watching the storm beneath. Tone of voice, the delay in response, the inconsistency in behavior, the shift in atmosphere when you speak of your success. Do they celebrate you or do they endure you? These details are microscopic, but everything evil hides in the fine print. Your enemy will not shout, it will smile. It will sit at your table, toast your name, and leave the knife in your back when the lights go out. There is a particular silence that follows your victories, a silence you must pay attention to. It doesn't come from your enemies. They were always expected to despise you. It comes from those close to you. The ones who once clapped the loudest when you had nothing. The ones who swore they would rise with you. Yet, the higher you climb, the colder they become. Their words remain sweet, but their energy becomes poisoned. They do not speak ill of you directly. They simply don't speak at all. The smile becomes thinner. The compliments become forced. The eye contact slips. This is not fatigue nor coincidence. This is envy, a demon that thrives where love once lived. The envious friend does not admit their hatred. They don't need to. Their silence is their sermon. They might even convince themselves they still care for you. But deep inside, your light has begun to burn their ego. Every move you make becomes a mirror to their own inaction. Your discipline mocks their laziness. Your confidence offends their insecurity. Your ambition humiliates their excuses. And so they begin to fracture slowly, not publicly, but inside. They are torn between affection and resentment, and eventually the resentment wins. Envy disguises itself in the most civilized ways. It does not scream. It whispers behind curtains. It does not attack. It questions. Are you sure that's the right move? Don't you think you're changing too fast? You've become so distant lately. These are not questions rooted in care. These are veiled accusations, spoken by someone who cannot accept your transformation. They don't miss you. They miss the version of you that made them feel superior. That version is gone now, and in its absence, the mask begins to slip. Some will mock your goals under the pretense of humor. They will laugh when you speak of your next steps, not because the idea is ridiculous, but because the idea threatens their fragile illusion of superiority. Your growth reminds them of their stagnation. Your clarity exposes their confusion. To destroy you openly would make them look vile. So instead, they inject little doses of sarcasm and doubt. They decorate their envy with humor, with concern, with honesty. But if you pay attention, you'll see the pattern. They never mock your weakness, only your strength. Family, too, is not immune to this corruption. Blood may bind bodies, but not always souls. There are brothers who silently wish for your failure, because they've already accepted mediocrity as their fate. There are parents who cannot bear the thought of you becoming more than they ever were. They will call it discipline, tough love, keeping you grounded. But beneath their words, if you study the tone, you will hear the cry of an ego begging not to be overshadowed. And the most dangerous part, they may not even know it. Envy works in silence, even within the host. The demon inside them may whisper so subtly, so slowly, that even they believe they are acting out of love. You must never confuse familiarity with loyalty. Some people stay close not to uplift, but to observe. They study your movements, learn your rhythm, wait for your stumble, not to help, but to gloat. They do not want to destroy you completely. That would remove their entertainment. No, they want you almost great, just enough to make them feel generous when they offer advice, but never so great that they feel irrelevant. Their envy demands balance. You can shine, but only in their shadow. You can win, but only if they can take credit. There is no greater bitterness than watching someone close to you rejoice more in your setbacks than in your breakthroughs. That is the acid of envy. It burns silently and it contaminates everything it touches, even love, even friendship, even blood. If left unchecked, it will turn the most beautiful bond into a battlefield of comparison and quiet sabotage. Not because you harmed them, but because you succeeded without their permission. And that, to an envious heart, is unforgivable. Not every demon roars. Some whimper, some cry. Some come to you not with fire, but with broken limbs, trembling hands, and endless stories of how life has crushed them. You will feel pity for these figures. You will feel responsibility, even love. And in that moment of softness, they will begin to sink their claws into your discipline. The demon in disguise does not always look like a tyrant. Sometimes it takes the form of the helpless, those who never grow, never heal, never learn. They become a constant burden, one you carry out of guilt, not loyalty. You will hear them say, "I just need your help one more time." But there's always one more time. You'll be told without you, "I can't do this." But they never seem to try without you. Their problems become your problems, their chaos your mission. They will cry when you pull away, accusing you of coldness, of selfishness. They will say you abandoned them. But what they really mean is, you stopped being useful. Their weakness is not an accident. It is their weapon. These people may not even be conscious of the role they play, but that does not make them harmless. Some men and women make their identity out of suffering. They refuse to evolve because pain has become their only source of power. Their tears give them attention. Their failures gain them sympathy. Their inaction forces others to act on their behalf. And so they never change, because why would they? The more they suffer, the more others revolve around them. This is not weakness born of misfortune. It is weakness wielded like a leash. You must understand the gravity of this. Your strength can become a prison when surrounded by those who refuse to stand on their own. You begin to feel responsible for fixing people who refuse to be fixed. You delay your own rise, your own clarity, because you are constantly pulling others out of their self-made fire. But here is the truth: they don't want the fire to end. The chaos gives them relevance. If they heal, they must take responsibility. If they grow, they can no longer blame. And so, they keep bleeding in front of you, not because they are wounded, but because they know you will always reach for the bandage. This is how you are slowly drained, not by confrontation, but by constant need. Every favor you grant them becomes an expectation. Every time you sacrifice for their peace, it becomes your duty. They build their comfort on your discomfort. And if you dare to shift your focus inward, to reclaim your time and energy, they call it betrayal. But what they truly mourn is not your absence. It is the end of their ability to manipulate through helplessness. Weak people are not always innocent. Some are skilled architects of guilt. They use their failures as tools, their lack of direction as an anchor tied to your leg. Every time you try to fly, they remind you of your obligations. They remind you of all the times you said, "I'll always be there for you." But they forget that such promises were made when you believed they were trying to rise. Now you see the truth. They never wanted to climb. They only wanted you to kneel beside them forever. Do not be seduced by the illusion of compassion. True compassion empowers others to grow. But the kind of compassion these demons seek is parasitic. They want you to feel noble for carrying them, while they sink deeper and deeper into comfort-driven misery. The longer you stay, the heavier they become. You begin to speak less about your own dreams, because their reality is always more urgent. You begin to feel guilty for succeeding, for evolving, for wanting more. And that guilt is their leash. You must learn to separate weakness that is temporary from weakness that is strategic. Everyone falls, but not everyone intends to rise. The ones who weaponize their wounds will never say it aloud. They will cry at the perfect time, break down at your highest moments, and tell you their needs just as you begin to focus on yours. And each time, you will pause your life to fix theirs. This is not friendship. This is not family. This is emotional extortion masked as loyalty. They do not ask for your help because they respect your strength. They ask because they depend on your silence. The truth of a person is never in what they say when you're broken. It's in how they react when you're winning. Words are easily faked, smiles rehearsed, but the eyes, they cannot lie. The eyes betray what the mouth attempts to conceal. When you speak of your victories, your dreams, your coming rise, do not be fooled by the applause. Look into their eyes. Look at the flicker of delay before they respond. Look at the tightening of the jaw, the sudden shift in tone, the forced cheer that masks something colder underneath. These are not the signs of pride. These are the quiet tremors of envy, masked as encouragement. It is a strange and cruel truth that many will cheer louder when you're drowning than when you begin to breathe. Misery is familiar to them. Misery is safe. Your pain makes them feel noble. Your struggle gives them purpose. But once you begin to ascend, to untangle from the life they've grown comfortable watching you suffer through, a shift begins. They grow quiet. They say, "I'm happy for you," but it tastes bitter. They ask questions that sound supportive but are loaded with doubt. Are you sure you can handle all that? What if it doesn't work out? Don't forget where you came from. These are not warnings. They are traps dressed as concern. Their purpose is not to guide, but to slow you down. Those closest to you often believe your success belongs to them. Not because they built it, but because they witnessed your roots. They saw your hunger, your pain, your evolution. And in their mind, that proximity gives them ownership. But as you rise, they are forced to confront a terrifying truth. You are no longer the version of you that needed them. You no longer look to them for direction, and this wounds their ego. They cannot say it aloud, so they say it through hesitation, through underhanded compliments, through emotional distance. You've changed. They whisper not as praise, but as punishment, because to them, growth is betrayal. When you speak of your next move, your next ambition, your next vision, notice who redirects the conversation, who goes silent, who suddenly speaks of their own failures or tragedies in response. That is not coincidence. That is the subconscious cry of someone who feels overshadowed. They cannot celebrate you because they feel erased by you. And so they do what all wounded egos do. They sabotage gently. They don't scream, they shift. They plant questions. They become less available, less warm. They do not attack. They exit, slowly, but not completely. Just enough to make you feel abandoned, so you will turn back and slow down. This is the essence of silent betrayal. No daggers, no confrontation. Just the absence of genuine joy when you thrive. Just the erosion of closeness every time you level up. They may still attend your celebrations. They may still smile in your photos. But the light in their eyes is gone. It has been replaced by comparison, not because you hurt them, but because your strength revealed their own stagnation. Your glow made their shadow deeper. You must train yourself to read the eyes before you trust the words. When you speak of your vision, do they light up? Or do they flinch? Do they lean in? Or do they look away? Do they ask how they can help? Or do they change the subject? The difference is everything. True allies are rare. Most people love you when you are broken, because broken things are easy to manage. But the moment you become whole, unapologetically, undeniably whole, they must decide whether to rise with you or be left behind. And many will choose bitterness over growth, resentment over admiration, distance over loyalty. In the end, those who cannot celebrate your triumph are already enemies in disguise. Their disguise just happens to look like love, but the eyes, they never lie. They tell you when affection has decayed, when loyalty has spoiled into jealousy, when the applause is hollow. Learn to listen with your eyes, because that is where the truth always waits. In times of celebration, loyalty is cheap. Anyone can cheer when you win. Anyone can stand beside you when the sun is shining and the tables overflow. But true loyalty is not proven in moments of abundance. It reveals itself in absence, in loss, in pressure. If someone claims to stand with you, yet never bleeds when you bleed, never endures when you suffer, never sacrifices when you are cornered, then their loyalty is nothing more than performance. Words cost nothing, but sacrifice is the currency of the real. There are those who will claim they are loyal simply because they've known you the longest, as if time spent near you is the same as loyalty shown through action. But time is not evidence. A shadow follows you from birth to death, but it does not protect you. It does not fight for you. It simply lingers. So do many people in your life. They stay close, not because they are loyal, but because it's convenient. Because standing next to you gives them access, gives them identity, gives them a front row seat to your battles without ever having to hold a sword. Loyalty without sacrifice is fragile. It shatters at the first sign of difficulty. When your life becomes complicated, watch who disappears. Watch who grows silent. The ones who were loudest in peace are often the first to vanish in war. They were not built for hardship. They were built for comfort. And the moment your path threatens theirs, threatens their safety, their ego, their illusion, they retreat. They justify it. They say they're giving you space, that you seem different, that they just don't feel connected anymore. But the truth is far simpler. Their loyalty was never loyalty. It was borrowed presence. Some will speak endlessly of how much they care. They will remind you of everything they've ever done for you, no matter how small. They will keep score. They will say, after everything I've done, not because they want to be remembered, but because they believe you owe them power. Their help was never pure. It was a deposit, and now they've come to collect. They believe loyalty means obedience, that because they stood beside you once, you must never walk a path they disapprove of. This is not loyalty. This is manipulation wrapped in the language of history. You must measure people not by how they enter your life, but by what they endure with you. Who stood when you were hated? Who defended you when it cost them something? Who chose silence when they could have fed the flames? Who stayed when your name was dirt and your future unclear? These are the questions that expose real loyalty. Not the ones who come to the wedding, but the ones who sat with you in grief. Not the ones who cheer your new success, but the ones who helped you climb when your hands were raw and bleeding. Loyalty demands sacrifice because power always comes at a cost. And if they are not paying that cost with you, they are merely spectators. They will take credit when things go well and disappear when storms rise. Their words will remain sweet, but their actions will betray them. They will say they support you, but they will never be seen when support means risk. Their love will be loud in private, but silent in public. Their promises will be many, but their actions will be rare. They will offer prayers, not protection, applause, not armor. In your darkest hour, you must remember that some people are addicted to being near light, but not to being burned with it. They want to orbit you like moons around a planet, gaining warmth, energy, and identity. But if asked to fall, to fight, to bleed, they shrink, because they were never there for you, only for what being near you gave them: comfort, purpose, narrative. And when your fire becomes too wild, too costly, too uncontrollable, they leave and write themselves as victims in the story they once applauded. Test every hand that claps for you. Would it defend you? Would it protect your name in rooms you are not in? Would it lose something for standing beside you? If not, it is not loyalty. It is theater, and you are simply the stage. You must understand that demons do not walk into your life with red eyes and sharpened teeth. They crawl in quietly, disguised as friends, cloaked in family ties, wrapped in softness and familiarity. They do not announce themselves with malice, but with praise, comfort, and need. The mask is elegant. The voice is soothing, but beneath it lies corrosion. Their smiles may dazzle, their words may soothe, but their intent is measured not in what they say, but in what they steal from you. Your time, your strength, your peace, your rise. The greatest threat to a powerful mind is not always external. It is the slow, silent rot from within your circle, the familiar voices that weaken your conviction, the comforting hands that gently pull you backwards, the ones who flinch at your ambition, who mock your evolution, who chain your loyalty to their convenience. These are not friends. These are not allies. These are enemies wearing your memories like armor. To survive, you must become cruel with clarity. Strip away the illusion. Watch with eyes that do not blink. Listen not to the sound of their affection, but to the rhythm of their behavior. Truth does not live in words. It lives in patterns. You owe no one your light if they've proven they cannot stand in its blaze. Walk forward cold, focused, unchained, because the one who wishes to rise must learn to burn bridges without looking back and carve a path where loyalty is not assumed, but earned in blood